Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Alain. Book Saturday today. As you can see, I got a couple books here today. I got My Fight, Your Fight by Ronda Rousey. And I got Larry Winget's Get Out of Your Own Way. Two books I've recently read and want to talk about today. I come on here on many Saturdays talking about books. Today I got my book mug. Has a bunch of the books that I read as a kid on there. And I just want to encourage you to read more. Read books for education. Read books for entertainment. Read the newsletter you can get at enjoylifesafely.com. You can get that newsletter by going to enjoylifesafely.com, downloading the free ebook, How to Stay Safe in This Crazy World. Tips on staying safe in the crazy world we're living in. Keep you and your loved ones safe. Then the newsletter has more tips on staying safe, self-defense, enjoying life, being exceptional, living with the warrior's edge. So go to Enjoy Life Safely and get those. Those are something you should be reading. Now let's look at the books we have for this weekend. Larry Winget, Get Out of Your Own Way, How to Overcome Any Obstacle in Your Life. I'm a big fan of Larry Winget's. I have most of his books in hardcover and paperback that he published and made New York Times bestseller list and everything. This isn't a book that he just wrote as a book. This actually was an audio program. And I have the audio program on CDs, and I've listened to it a few times. Great stuff. So this book, was on Amazon. It's a pretty short, quick little book because it's the audio program in book form. So reading it, there was nothing new that I hadn't heard because I listened to the audio program, but it's good reinforcement. I find Larry just to be a straight shooter, tells it like it is, says where you're at is because of the decisions you've made. Take responsibility. If you want your life to change, you got to get out of your own way and make things happen. He's a big proponent of writing stuff down, making a plan, making it happen. Commit to it, do it. Nothing really woo-woo or any of that other kind of stuff of his, just straight, no nonsense. This is how you can get things done, and this is how you can succeed. So good, in-your-face advice. Keep you motivated. I like listening to him. I like reading him once in a while just to keep that in my head, stay motivated, keep pressing forward, taking responsibility for what I do and where I'm at and where I want to go. So if you're interested in something like that, I highly recommend any of Larry's books. Like I said, this Get Out of Your Own Way is an audio program you can get. It's also this little book on Amazon as well. The other book I just finished reading, Rhonda's My Fight, Your Fight. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. Want to say good morning to Thad. Good morning, Thad. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you saying hello. I've been a fan of Ronda since she was judo, then fighting, and then now MMA, WWE, and movies. And I've always liked her. I like her even more seeing where she came from and learning more about her from this book. Now, the interesting thing about this book, she wrote this before she lost. So at the end of this book, she had never lost yet. Okay, and as we know, she did lose in the MMA ring. And she's going to talk about that in the next book. And I have an autographed copy that I got for Christmas back on the shelf that I'm going to read soon. And we'll talk about that in the future. But this book talks about her growing up, difficulties she had, when her dad, her father, passed away young, and the difficulties that had. Her mom was a judo champion and pretty tough on her. And she had some tough times. She was struggling. But she always had the desire to be the best. And she just, her determination, her willpower, her desire and focus at times, incredible. And I like the way that she tells the story and tells things, because there are things in here that you could apply to your own life as well. So she's telling her story, but there's also some encouragement there to make things happen for your life. You know, she talks about ups and downs with some boyfriends and relationships that were good, that were bad, with successes and failures on and off the mat. So, you know, I enjoyed it. If you like her, if you like the MMA scene, it's an interesting read. I'm looking forward to reading the next book when she deals with finally losing and some of that. Because with this, she dealt with losing in judo, but she hadn't lost an MMA fight yet when she wrote this. So, good book. If you like Ronda, I do like her and found this very interesting and a good read. And obviously, I really like Larry Winget. And so those are two really good books this week. Dixon's here. Dixon said, would you say Winget reinforces Zig Ziglar advice? Yes, I would. And one of the reasons is Larry reads and listens a ton, just like I do. And he was a big reader of Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, Dennis Waitley, all those greats that are, you know, older than him, older than me. So he applied a lot of the lessons from Ziglar and Rohn and some of those greats. And so I would say it reinforces Zig Ziglar. It reinforces Jim Rohn, reinforces Dennis Waitley, reinforces Earl Nightingale, some of those greats, because he studied them and applied them to his life and, you know, incorporated that into the common sense advice that he gives people. And he really does give common sense advice. He's like, if you're fat, it's probably your own fault. Eat less and exercise more. And he's like, oh, yeah, people can say, oh, it's not that easy. And he's like, yes, it is. He's like, if you're broke, it's because you're spending more than you make. Make more, save less. Don't spend on stupid stuff. Watch your budget. It really is that easy. And, you know, he used to be on that TV show where he'd go in and tell people that, hey, you know, you're in debt because you're buying all this shit and you're not making enough money to buy it. Pretty simple. That's why you're in debt. Quit buying all this shit until you make more money. I mean, he puts things in that simple, straightforward language and says, take responsibility for it. Tobacco Rose here. Good morning. Appreciate you showing up and saying hello. So those are the two books this weekend. Both of them I really enjoyed. Larry, I've read everything he's done. I've listened to it. This was just sort of a quick read to reinforce the principles he teaches to keep me on track. Ronda's book tells her early story. Really good read, especially if you like Ronda. And I've always liked Ronda. And so it was interesting to see where she came from, what drove her, some of the challenges and things that she had to overcome, and the discipline and determination she had to get where she went. So enjoyed both of those. Good morning, Richard. Thank you for being here and saying good morning. And Richard says, cool. I'm a Winget fan as well. Now, I like everything. And if you missed the beginning, Richard, this was an audio program that then they turned into a little booklet. So I had listened to this on CDs that I have back here. And then I saw it on Amazon for cheap, and I picked up a copy to read. But it's the same as the audio program. So it's not one of the books that he's written that has made the New York Times bestseller list. I have those on the shelf too, but that's what this one was. It was the audio program turned into a book form. But they're great. Good information. Two good books. Hope that inspires you to read something, whether it's these two books, something else. Read for enjoyment, read for education, read the newsletter at enjoylifesafely.com. Make it a spectacular Saturday. I will see you tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about A Working Man, Jason Statham's new movie that I watched last night. We'll see you then.